name is Kelly with Body Techniques. I am a yoga therapist, so I'll be guiding you through a 15-minute practice, just a little yoga chair yoga movement practice. This practice is intended for those of you who have been either sitting at the desk for a bit and just need a quick little break, or if you've been just on your laptop on the sofa, or just, kind of generally curled into like this kind of position. So we're just going to kind of open everything up. And this is intended just as a quick little seated practice. So you can kind of intersperse it in with your day. Um, so what we'll do is we'll start, and I'll just demonstrate all of these things. So we'll start by coming to the edge of your seat. So if you're like on a sofa or something, try to get to just a regular chair. If you're in a chair. And so you'll just come to the edge. And what we're going to focus on is just engaging into the lower core to just create a bit of a straight spine. So what you can think of is you can think of maybe the hem of your shirt and kind of a sense of gathering in and up and engaging into the core to really support the spine. So we have just a little bit more space here in the rib cage so we can kind of take a fuller breath. So we're going to experiment with a couple of things today before we get to a little bit of movement. So what I would like for you to do is to just notice your gaze, notice where your eyes are going, and then we're going to check in with breath. So one hand on the chest, one hand on the abdomen. And as you're seated here, I just want you to get a sense of your breath. And then as you're gazing, you can kind of take your eyes off the screen and just kind of come into your own sense of your body. And you'll just look maybe on the floor, maybe 4 feet in front of you. And so you'll just notice, or even if you are in front of the screen right here, just looking at the screen and just noticing the breath with something maybe 4 to 3 feet in front of you. So you don't have to change anything about your breath, just notice what's occurring. Notice maybe the depth of your breath. And then you can notice the address of your breath, if it's here in the chest or if it's here in the abdomen. So just take a moment or two to kind of cue into that. And then I want you to notice as you shift your gaze to look a little bit further out, maybe 8 feet in front of you. So you can look up or look further onto the floor, maybe across the room at a midpoint of the room, something beyond the screen. So if you are facing the screen, you might want to turn away so you can kind of look at something further. And I want you to notice as your gaze goes further away from your body or away from in front of you, what happens with your breath. So you might notice the breath expands. You might be able to just breathe a little bit more deeply into the inhale. And then again, just notice the address of the breath, if it's here in the chest or the abdomen. And just, there's no value judgment on that. Just notice kind of where your breath naturally sort of originates from for you. And finally, I want you to notice your breath here with this, 8 to 10 feet away, and then shifting your gaze wider, so maybe peripherally, or looking out a window. So looking as far as you can, maybe it's across the room, across the house, across the building, out a window, to a horizon, to a tree, something like that. So as far as you can gauge your breath. So moving from 8 to 10 feet in front of you, all the way as far as you can, and noticing what occurs with your breath as you shift your gaze further out. So you might notice that you even have a sense of more expansion in the breath, an ability to breathe more deeply, more expansively. Maybe there's some softening that's happening for you. Just notice. And take a few breaths here, really feeling the shifts, feeling differences between the breath when you're looking something up close versus when you're looking further out. And you can release that and kind of come back to the screen. So it's a physiological experience for human beings. When we have something close to us, we're naturally going to have a shallower breath so as to sort of not disturb, what's ever in front of us. And as we gaze further out and we allow our field of vision to widen, we're able to breathe more deeply. So think about that as we're kind of moving into the movement portion of this, because you want to be able to really expand into the chest, into the rib cage, and be able to create some more space so that that you can kind of open up, from this sort of curled position into your screen to more like a little bit more upright, a little bit more like, a human, and less like a goblin. So here's what we'll do. So you'll kind of come into this to the seat, and I just want you to. We'll do a quick body scan, so you can kind of be like, yes, I am corporeal and I have a body. So again, you can have one hand to the chest and one hand to the abdomen, just to continue to have that embodied experience of your breath, and you can kind of keep a cue on that. So what I want you to do is become aware of your feet touching the ground. If you have shoes on, just noticing the insides of the shoes and socks. If you don't have shoes and socks on, just noticing bare feet on carpet or tile or whatever the surface of the floor is. Becoming aware of all 10 toes and the tops of the feet. And then shins and calves, just feeling the density of their legs. And you can close your eyes or lower your gaze. I'm just going to guide you with my words. And become aware of kneecaps and the backs of the knees, tops of the thighs, hamstrings, and then shifting slightly to feel just the density of your upper body resting on your sits bones, on your pelvis as you're seated here. You can shift your weight forwards, backwards, left and right to really have a sense of that. And then feeling from the hips down to the toes, both legs together. And now as you're shifting your awareness to your abdomen and your low back, see if you can take that top hand and bring both hands to the abdomen. And just feel the breath here in the abdomen. You might still have just a slight engagement just to support the back, but allow there to be some space for breath. So just breathe normally and just notice the movement of your hands as you're breathing. And then we're shifting our awareness now up to the rib cage, the back of the rib cage. So you can take your hands if you like and just give you some little biofeedback on either side of the ribs. This is nice too because it kind of creates some space in the shoulders. This is accessible for you. And then focus and breathe into the rib cage. Sides of the ribs, back of the rib cage, and front of the rib cage. And we'll just do 3 breaths here. And at the end of that third exhale, then you'll come up to the chest. So you can take both hands to the chest. Just feel the breath in the chest. And then you can also shift your focus to the space between your shoulder blades, creating a sense of expansion between the shoulder blades as you breathe, maybe a little bit, and just feeling the hands rise and fall on your chest. You take a moment to move the neck and head around. Just get a sense of the neck muscles for you. And we want to feel like a good sensation, a good sense of, medicinal therapeutic sensation, but never pain. So if you're ever moving the head around and you're feeling any kind of pain, just honor that. Don't go there. Note that for later. Something to address. And then now just feeling the whole head, the weight and the density of the head on top of the spine, feeling the whole body together from the top of the head all the way down to the toes. We're sitting in a chair. Cool. So now to the movement really quickly. So from here, you're going to ground into the earth, just really have a sense of your feet really fully on the earth. And what we're going to do is we're just going to briefly take a minute and we're just going to take the hands behind you. You can flip the palms whatever way feels good for your palms. So just creating a sense of you can grab that back of the chair or the sides of the chair, whatever is accessible for the fronts of your shoulders. And just creating a little bit of a back bend. So the breath can come up into the chest. And as you're breathing here, maybe 3 to 5 breaths, you can flip the palms back. Maybe feel a little bit of a wrist stretch. Kind of warm things up before we get into a little bit more shoulder arm movement. And you can tilt left ear to left shoulder, inhale to center, right ear to right shoulder. You can take that a couple of times or 3 times each side, just kind of getting a sense of the neck muscles. And then you can release. And we'll just take a minute to take the palms, hands down. So I like to cue transitional spaces to just breathe into this and take a couple of minutes to notice the shifts that have occurred with whatever movement we've done. So breathe here. All right. So next what we'll do is just open the arms out up to the sides, and we're going to inhale all the way up. And then I want you to create just goalposts. So you activate the hands. I'm going to scoot back so you can see what I'm doing with my hands. You're going to activate the hands. You're going to engage between the shoulder blades, and you're just going to drag as if you're sort of dragging both hands down the pane of a glass. So we're squeezing between the shoulder blades, and then from here we're going to lead with the elbows. So you'll feel the top of the shoulder blades, the insides, and then if you lead with the elbows, you'll start to feel that movement between the shoulder blades all the way down to the bottom of the shoulder blades. So bring those elbows towards the rib cage as you squeeze between the shoulder blades. Keep those hands active. Maybe you'll feel this in the front of the chest, in the pecs, kind of opening things up. You should feel most of this in your back body. So then you can release the arms down by the sides. You can shake things out if you're feeling things kind of get a little tingly. So we'll take a moment here and we'll just do just a little bit of a twist, and then we'll do just a couple more things. So you're going to take opposite hand to opposite knee. So for me, that's my left hand coming to my right knee. And then we're just up tall. And you're going to take this right arm, reach it up, back of the head. Okay. And then what you're going to do, so opposite arm, opposite leg, is that ear is going to come towards the opposite way. You're going to breathe into the side body here that you're bending away from. And then at the same time, really make sure that your feet are grounded into the earth. And breathe into the side body. You should be feeling maybe the front of the hips, maybe the QL. And it's up to you. You can sort of make more space here. You can bend and kind of make this dynamic or static. You can also experiment with reaching over the head. I personally like to do this because it creates quite a lot of openness here in the side body and in the chest. So you get to really open things up and then activate that back body again. So we'll shift and go to the other side. So opposite arm, opposite knee. Bring that right arm up, cut behind the head, and then right ear over to the right. Ground through that left side body, into the left sits bones. Breathe into that left side body, into the abdomen, maybe even into the low back on that left side. Coming up to center. Last one, interlace the fingers, flip the palms face up. So you'll start with a wrist stretch here at this point. So if you're bending and extending the elbows, you'll start to feel a nice wrist stretch, and then we'll reach above the head. all the way up. So the palms are facing towards the ceiling. You can reach through both sides to lengthen. Take a couple breaths on each side. You're going to bend the elbows. Place the tops of the hands on the crown of the head. Squeeze between the shoulder blades and then lift. So you might feel the traps on the tops of the shoulders, more of the shoulder blade activation. And the more that you are intending the palms towards the ceiling, and the more that you'll feel maybe the wrists and everything lengthen through. Take a few breaths to see how and feel how things have shifted for you. Thanks for joining me for this. I'll see you in another video. Once again, my name is Kelly. I'm with Body Techniques.